it can honestly be pretty lonely. It is all about finding the balance between all of these different aspects of our identity. It's actually really hard, and it's something that we've been struggling with since we started our business. When you have your own business, you can't blame the boss because you are the boss. So homework for me doesn't feel so consuming or so stressful. When people find out that you have a business, they kind of start to see you differently. Hello, it's Raina here. I am currently in our Planet warehouse. Planet is our small business that we started in high school as a way to share our favorite sustainable and eco-friendly products. So we offer sustainable alternatives to conventional products such as bamboo toothbrushes, bamboo straws, lots of reusable kitchen products. We hand make our lip balms and our lotions and our laundry powder and some of our soaps as well. Our main mission is to just make these sustainable products more accessible and attainable for more people. Raina is currently in California, so she handles all of our online work. I'm here in Hawaii and I handle all of our physical work. Yeah, so we've just been maintaining this as best as we can as full-time students and full-time entrepreneurs and full-time humans, as we like to say, because it is all about finding the balance between all of these different aspects of our identity and all of these things that make us who we are, because they truly do intersect and affect each other. Anyways, I just wanted to share something that has been on my mind for quite a long time now, and I think it's probably because I'm now in Hawaii and I'm in like the home base. I'm home and everything, and Raina is in California. Roles have completely shifted because last semester I was studying abroad in London and she was taking care of business here and I was doing remote work online. Yeah, and so now she's in California and I'm holding down the fort here. So with the dynamic shifting and going back to school in person, I'm currently in my 3rd year, so that's really exciting, but things are starting to get a bit more difficult and just more time consuming, and yeah, and it's just requiring a lot more of me than it would have previous semesters. School is finally starting to feel like more important and relevant and like something that will truly contribute to my future career. Anyways, yeah, so I just wanted to talk about a topic that has been on my mind a lot lately with school starting, with Raina being in California, and with all of these different dynamics affecting each other. And that topic is a reality of being an entrepreneur, which is that it can honestly be pretty lonely. And before I go into it, I want to preface this by saying that I'm not complaining in any way. I'm truly so grateful for the opportunities that our business has brought us and the ways that we've been able to grow with this business. It is simply a reality, and I think sometimes this can come off as complaining because maybe we don't hear a lot about realities of things. We mostly just hear the success stories and we mostly just see the successes. But there is so much that goes on behind the scenes, and that's not always shown through social media or through what you hear in a story or just in general. So I just wanted to share a little bit of a glimpse into this reality, which is that it can be pretty lonely as an entrepreneur. There's a lot to say about this, and I probably won't talk about every single aspect of it, but I just wanted to share based off of my personal experiences. So to start, I want to just talk about the pressures of being an entrepreneur and how it can be a lot for someone, and I'm so glad that Raina and I have each other because we can lean on each other and we can work together so well. We balance each other really well, so I'm very, very blessed that I have my twin sister best friend as my business partner. But I will say, with her being in California, and I'm sure she probably experienced this when I was in London, I kind of have to take on a more heavier role, a more time-consuming role, a more energetically consuming role. It can be a lot, and I think that just speaks to the pressure of being your own boss. This idea that like being your own boss is so romanticized, but it's actually really hard, and it's something that we've been struggling with since we started our business for many reasons, some being having to create your own structure, having to hold yourself accountable, and having to just completely rely on yourself to maintain this entire business. And a lot of people might not understand what it actually truly entails to do that. I think a great example I like to use is like online classes, because a lot of people have experience with online classes. Online classes, if it's asynchronous, you might have to hold yourself accountable to actually do the work on time, to not cheat through the work, to balance that class. You still have a teacher that you can reach out to, and you still have assignments where you know exactly what you need to do, but it's kind of tough to actually get yourself to do them. I hear a lot of students talking about that challenge with online and asynchronous classes where you have to hold yourself accountable. It can just be a struggle because you can do your work in bed, you can like not do your work. Up to you how much effort you'll put into it and how true you'll be to the work and how honest you'll be about it. So that is kind of a similar experience with what it's like being an entrepreneur, but I feel like we also have this pressure to succeed. Being your own boss is not easy and yeah, it's quite a challenge. Part-time jobs in high school, I worked for other people and I had bosses, and it was easy to blame the boss or easy to say like, oh, I can quit whenever I want to, like I can always find another job or something. When you have your own business, you can't blame the boss because you are the boss, and when you have your own business, you can't say like, okay, I can just move on to something else because you've poured so much into this business, and if it's something that you're truly passionate about, built it literally from nothing to something so much greater, then you don't want to give up on your business because it's kind of like giving up on yourself. I will say that it is also healthy to have boundaries and to know when something is hurting you and it's contributing to your personal success. So there are definitely cases where it may be healthier to move on from your business. In most cases it's like that can be really hard, and it's just a matter of wanting to do the best for yourself, for your customers, for your community, for your business. And then going back to my point about like being your own boss and not really having a boss to blame per se, this doesn't always mean that your boss is always the person to blame or the person who did something wrong, but it's just easier to do that, and it's kind of like fun to do that. I think complaining is just a part of human nature, and just having that ability to say like, it's not me, it's a bigger problem than me. That's a whole other thing about self-awareness too, so we won't get into that. But yeah, it's like we are our own bosses as entrepreneurs, so it's our responsibility to maintain this work and this service and to continue to put our energy into this no matter what. And another main point that I want to touch on is that you kind of have a higher standard for yourself. Not in the sense that I'm saying that people have low standards for themselves, but I would just say that personally, I feel like I know what I'm capable of, and I know what I can handle and how much I need to handle in order to do something, in order to run a business, in order to be a successful student, in order to be able to balance all of these different aspects of my life. So yeah, I mean, running a business, like I said, being an entrepreneur, it requires so much of you. It's definitely not the same as like the pressures of having a part-time job and working for someone else. So I'm now in school. This semester has been pretty crazy. There's always been so much going on. I'm so grateful for it all, and instead of saying busy, I like to say it's been like so full of life, because I really truly wouldn't have it any other way. I love having a full plate. I love having all of these experiences and everything. But I really do feel like I have a higher standard for myself, and I have to have greater expectations for myself, going back to that pressure of running the business and everything. Whereas most people this age are more worried about school and more focused on school and have more priorities over school. Not that I don't prioritize school, but I balance these, my business and my school, as priorities in my life. So homework for me doesn't feel so consuming or so stressful, but having to take care of customers' orders, having to make sure that inventory is stocked, having to update labels, having to work on a website, having to manage social media, all of these things, that is where the pressure is really high for me. As like homework, I can absolutely handle with minimal stress, and I think it's totally natural to be stressed about homework and just having a to-do list and all of these things. But for me, it's kind of like I know that I can do it and I have to do it because I have to turn it into someone. So in a way, handling homework and school things is kind of easier for me because there's so much more structure in that. Whereas other college students might feel much more overwhelmed by a school workload. It doesn't really give me that same amount of stress. As an entrepreneur, I feel like you withstand the test of so many different challenges that like a lot of people won't usually face if you don't have a business. I'm not saying that being an entrepreneur is the hardest thing in the world and that nobody else experiences such great challenges or anything, but that it is very different challenge and standard that you have for yourself if you're an entrepreneur versus if you don't have a business. That's kind of hard to word, but yeah, this can also just be a personal thing, but I know that Raina and I both relate on this topic of having different standards for ourselves and knowing that we're capable of doing certain things like school loads and stuff feels a lot less stressful and less pressure than having to handle all of the things that come with being an entrepreneur. Kind of like if you go on a hike for the first time and it might be a challenging hike and you make it to the top, now you know that you're capable of getting to the top of this mountain. Before you didn't know that because you may have only hiked mountains that weren't as high. So it's like once you overcome more bigger challenges in your life, it gets easier in a way to do the smaller tasks. Another thing that I want to talk about is just the social realities, which is more of a general topic, but this is kind of like an overarching theme in my life because I feel like this life is kind of just a huge social experiment. I am naturally very introverted, experimenting with more extroversion. It's quite difficult to maintain socialization in more common social settings as an entrepreneur. And this is just connected to the other things that I've talked about so far, which is the pressures of being an entrepreneur and different standards that entrepreneurship kind of sets for you. But I think it's not as easy to connect with people because as an entrepreneur, you kind of see things quite different. I think entrepreneurs are natural problem solvers and we're able to deal with challenges a bit differently because of the standards, because of the pressure, because of all of the work that it takes to maintain a business. The average person is more of a consumer rather than a creator. The average person buys more things than they sell. Like, speaking from my personal experience, when people find out that you have a business, they kind of start to see you differently, as in a way that they think that people might think that you have it all figured out, or they might be a bit more intimidated by you because it's not as common, depending on your age group or whatnot, depending on your area. So many different factors for that. It's tricky, especially as a student. I'm not in the business major, I'm actually in elementary education major, so when I talk to people in my major, it's very different because you wouldn't expect an elementary major to already have had a business or whatnot. Yeah, it definitely kind of sets you apart because of all these differences between an entrepreneur and the average person, or just a person without a business or whatnot. Just like how in all of these other jobs in life and all of these other roles that we play in life, you can't quite relate to a person the same as you would with a person that you do have a similar connection to because of that role. Like, for example, if you're a lifeguard, you know what it takes to be a lifeguard. This is just a totally random example. I don't know why that's the first thing I thought of, but you know what it takes to be a lifeguard. You've lived the lifestyle of a lifeguard or whatnot. Probably connect with other lifeguards more because you guys share that experience. You're not quite in the business world and you're not surrounded by more people with businesses. You're just not as easily able to connect with other people because you have this huge experience as an entrepreneur and it affects so many different parts of your life, and it is just a huge part of your life and not a lot of people can relate to that. This can be applied to pretty much anything, but I feel like when people hear that you have a business, there's totally this image or this expectation that they have of people who have a business and everything, which is completely valid as well. It is kind of a struggle to, because you feel like you have to maintain these expectations, or you feel like you have to prove yourself in a way that you're not just all of that. You don't have it all figured out and you're more than what you do. You're also just a human being on this beautiful earth. And there's so much more to a person than their job and what they do. It's just more difficult because a lot of people might not be able to see beyond what you do. And that totally can be applied to so many other situations too. Another thing about the social realities of being an entrepreneur is that I feel very fulfilled in what I do, and I think maybe most other entrepreneurs do, because otherwise you possibly wouldn't have started it or done it. And the work that I do, like an active service for me, and it's kind of like if you go to volunteer, you help someone out or whatever it is, you feel so good after, and you feel fulfilled, you feel purposeful, and you feel this genuine hope for humanity. That's what being an entrepreneur with this business does for me, is it gives me hope in humanity. It lights me up, it makes me excited about things, it makes me feel fulfilled, it makes me feel like I have purpose, and that's a big reason why we keep doing what we're doing. On different journeys journeys in this life, and some people haven't quite found what makes them feel like that, and some people maybe have. All of the growth in between these two processes and everything that contributes to the differences of these two. Like I said before, there are so many other things that may contribute to this reality of loneliness as an entrepreneur. I just wanted to talk about a few things that I personally feel like have impacted me more, or that I have more experience with. I think that's all I have to share for today. I have been wanting to talk about this for so long, and it really does just feel so good to speak truth and speak reality to these experiences. So yeah, thank you for listening, and I appreciate your time. If you felt like you could relate or connect to anything in this video, or maybe you learned something new about a different perspective, we would appreciate if you would like or subscribe and even share a comment. Thank you for being here and listening. That's all for today, and we'll see you in another video. Bye!